Your voice, your opinion, your community. Fact TV, free speech, protected.
The following is independently produced programming. The views and opinions expressed are those of the producers and do not reflect the views and opinions of Falls Area Community Television, our staff, or board of directors.
Secrets in the shadows, lost and found. Truth in every echo, loud and clear. Keep on with the long road, no more fear. In the halls of power, whispers grow. Every secret cut beneath the undertone. Our stories hidden in the glass. On this long road, in the truth we trust.
Hello, welcome to The Long Road. I'm your host, Chris Roberts. I'm back after 2 weeks out in sunny North Dakota. I went out there to see my first great-granddaughter. She was born on June 20th, so basically today she's a grand total of 16 days old. And what I also did was I decided to surprise my wife and my daughter by having my grandson, his wife, and two great-grandkids and her two grandkids flew them into Hartford today, and my other daughter picked them up. And so right now my daughter is rushing home from work to be able to see her brand new granddaughter. And we had hoped to surprise her at work to make her cry in front of her employees, but that didn't happen. The plane was late. The individual wasn't paying attention out in North Dakota, and he overfueled the plane, so they had to let it run for about 45 minutes and then test to make sure they did not have too much fuel that could have choked off the engines in mid-flight. So I'm happy to be home. I'm happy to have my family here, and I'm happy that my mother and my daughter are really happy, and I'm happy that my granddaughter is extremely happy because she likes to see her cousin Koga. Today, I'm going to be some feisty today. When was the last time you heard on any type of media, you know, CNN, Fox, any of these individuals, TV shows, talking about people in leadership positions acting with integrity and acting with ethics? I can't remember. When was the last time you had read the newspaper or read a magazine or an article online that says, yes, he or she was acting with integrity. He or she was highly ethical. Okay, let's even go a little farther, deeper, and ask a rhetorical question. When was the last time you heard someone talk about a politician with a high ethical standard, or he or she was unwilling to sacrifice their integrity? I haven't. I haven't seen in a long time. Matter of fact, the last time I've had seen media or printed material about people acting ethically was when I was a kid in grammar school, and I was required to read John F. Kennedy's Profile in Courage. When I was growing up, we used to think profile in courage. People that did the right thing. Okay? Let's be honest. Every single one of us have a price. For some, that price is really low. For others, that price is extremely high. And as history has shown us in a number of cases, for an extreme few people, that price is their willingness to give their life for, to die. Okay? We do not expect people to say, hey, I'm going to hold up the highest ethical standard. I am going to hold up the highest degree of integrity, even if it costs me my life. That is totally unrealistic. Okay? Because how many of us would not violate our own ethical standards or sacrifice our own integrity to save our family's lives, to save a family member? Okay? If you're one of the people that say, I would not sacrifice my integrity or my ethical standards for any reason whatsoever, one, chances are you're a liar and you're a really crappy liar. Or two, you must really hate your family, or maybe a combination of. To go and say, I would not sacrifice my ethical standard to save my children's lives, it would be hard on me, but my children are much more important. So when I'm talking about ethical standards, I'm talking about integrity. I'm not talking about that. Because what we have right now is when you come up and say something, people want to take it in an absolute so they can come up with one situation out of a million to prove you wrong. So, I'm not dealing in absolutes. I'm dealing in the fact is, excuse me, we all have limits, okay? For a lot of people, those limits are real, standards and limits are really low. Other people are really high, okay? And it is really tough as a society to determine what is the right limit for each other. But I can tell you, for a lot of people, they set up a much higher standard, making it so much easier for other people to maintain that standard than they ever do for themselves. And so everybody has a standard, everybody has a price, and again, there is no absolutes. But their society sets a kind of acceptable standard for the average person. Okay. Now let's see. Let's see in politics. I've been on the city council for 12 years. I was up at the State House for 12 years. And I've been on the school board for 21 years. I know I've repeated that before. But I can't tell you how many times people that I've seen in politics that I'm sitting next to or standing next to in the same room I'm in have what's called situational ethics. And you go, what is situational ethics? Well, if there's 4 rooms here, it's like they will have a different ethical standard depending on which room they were in. I remember when President Obama was then Senator Obama was then running for President of the United States. I was here and I was one of the co-chairmen of his veteran groups helping run. I went to 6 of his campaign rallies. And I came to myself, I'm going, I can't go to any more.
Sabrina Hutchins.
I cannot. Oh, that's my dog. Sorry about that. That's my daughter. She probably just saw her son and her granddaughter. Her granddaughter. And I says, wait a minute. Mr. Obama said 6 different things based on what group he was talking to. Well, there's nothing wrong with modifying your delivery to your audience. But then I was going is, wait a minute. If he's telling his audience in place A that this is what he's going to do if he's elected, then I started, wait a minute, what he's saying in place A means that he can't do what he just told people in place D. So he wasn't being ethical at all. He was telling people what they wanted to hear and what he would do to get those votes. And you know what? He's not the first one. And he won't be the last one. Okay? And what I've realized is no politician is going to get past a certain level if he or she tells the truth. He or she has marketers who go out and do opinion surveys to go in and say, oh, this is what these people want to hear. So you're going out and telling those people what they want to hear, even though you know you can't deliver, and even though it contradicts what you're saying to other groups. Is that ethical? I don't think so. I saw in the State House where people to get a chairmanship or a vice chairmanship, they agree to support a candidate for, say, speaker, and they agree to vote whatever the way the speaker or the majority leader directs them to, regardless of whether they believe in it or they can stomach it. Because the fact that they were getting a gravel with their name on, handed to you by the Speaker of the House, and you got that special plate saying that you were chairman or vice chairman, you've probably seen them around the area because it makes them feel important. Okay? So, let's look at, for example, Congress. Okay, isn't there something wrong when Congress, every single Democrat votes one way and every single Republican votes another way? Or if the president says, I've got 10 individuals that say, I cannot in all good conscience vote for this. This is bad for the people I represent. I promised the people I wouldn't vote for this. And different ones over and over and over. And then the president says, well, if you do not do this, I will make sure someone runs you against you in the primary and possibly cost you your seat. Ding, 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 ding. One individual goes, okay, sorry, I'm out of here. I cannot stay and support you, Mr. President, because I was not elected to support you, Mr. President. I was elected to support the people of my state and then the country. He took the ethical high road and says, I'm not voting and I'm quitting. Plain and simple, I'm not going to run for re-election. Okay? Two people in the House did the same thing. Hey, I told the people I was not going to vote for it, and I'm maintaining my word. No matter what the price is, this is the right thing to do. An individual from Pennsylvania, he says when he was running, he said, I guarantee you, I promise you, I will not vote to cut Medicare, Medicaid, or Medicare. Bingo. Then his vote was needed to pass the bill forward for consideration and everything. He voted for it to pass forward. But he says, I promise you, if there are cuts to Medicaid, I will not support this bill. He told the president I would not support this bill. President says, well, guess what? I'm going to primary you. Bingo, he folded like a leaf in a hurricane. Okay, he then decided his allegiance wasn't as a Republican representing the people from his district. His allegiance wasn't to the country. His allegiance was to Donald Trump, who happens to be President of the United States. The senator from Alaska, I cannot stand this bill. There's no way I can support this bill. This is just wrong. Well, her vote was the most critical vote of all. Her vote became the tying vote, allowing the vice president to vote and pass it. She goes, well, why'd you change your vote? Well, for two reasons. The majority leader of the Senate changed the bill a little bit so I could get a little carve out for the people of Alaska. And plus, I'm telling the people in the House not to vote for it because it's extremely bad. Is that a moment of integrity? Is that an ethical decision? Or is that a moment of cowardness, of self-interest? So, she got her little carve out. Hey, a little chump change. And then the House did it, and the president, and she's feeling like a crap bag. Well, she deserves to. She deserves to go. A play on John F. Kennedy's Profiled in Courage. They now have profiles in cowardness, and she's going to make a chapter all her own. Okay. What is an ethical decision? One of the best things I've heard about an ethical decision that comes to the closest of being an absolute comes down to is to make a decision that you were unwilling to have to pay the price for. Think of it. Okay? An ethical decision, a decision that requires courage and integrity, is to make a decision that you were unwilling to pay the price for. And you go, well, that doesn't make sense. Okay, you come in and you make what is the right decision, but you didn't want to have to lose your Senate seat, your House seat, or you don't want to lose your job. A bunch of those things. but you did it because you knew that it was right. No one wants to lose their elected position. No one wants to lose their job. There's a whole bunch of things that people don't want to do, that they would not do under normal circumstances, but every once in a while you come up with a decision that you know that the price is going to be much higher than you were ever willing, you ever thought you were willing to have to pay. Hey, you know what I can do over the years? I've seen city council members, like I said, state house members and school board members, that I would just sit there and listen to the reasoning of why they were making a decision. And one of the easiest ways and most common way to realize that someone is making an unethical or a decision that's void of integrity is they won't shut their mouth. Okay? If you're going to make a decision to protect your butt, you just say yay or nay, raise your hand or when it says yes or no. You don't stand up and spend 2 or 3 minutes regurgitating over and over, trying to convince people why you're making that decision. Most of the time, your fellow elected people know why you're making that decision. The people at work or whatever know why you're making a decision. You're standing up there just trying to convince yourself why you are making that decision. Okay? The Attorney General. So she's creating a grand jury to look into the 2016 Russian collusion, Russian hoax. Well, the CIA did an investigation into it. Bingo. They said Russia tried to influence the 2016 election. The Senate committee on it, headed by Marco Rubio, who's now the Secretary of State, his committee voted and accepted that and agreed with the findings of the CIA. Okay, J.D. Vance. Okay, after 2016 and 2020, go back and read about a number of things that he said about Donald Trump. But he was able to forget all that to be a chance on the vice presidency. Look at a number, okay? The head of ICE, head of Homeland Security. The Bobby doll, as they say. Look at everything she's doing. When we look at a lot of people in government right now, it's saying, well, I'm the head of the EPA. I don't believe in any climate change. I don't believe that pollution has any effect on people's health. Or I'm the FBI guy, and I'm going, well, there's nothing here on Mr. Epstein and his files. Oh, yeah, you know what? Someone must have made a mistake here. Someone made a mistake. And so, okay, look at the generals. Look at Joe Biden. Nothing to worry about on that disastrous withdrawal from Afghanistan, causing 13 people their lives, leaving billions of dollars of equipment in Afghanistan. Nothing there. Or the general goes, well, yeah, there was kind of a miscommunication that blew that guy and all his kids away. Too bad, too sad. Yeah, he's working on yeah, he was working for us, but you know what? He looked like everybody else, so we just put a missile right into his car and killed all them. Look at it. I'm an old guy. I'm 70. I'll be 71 Saturday. So I'm not long. According to what they say now, I'm no longer a senior citizen. I'm not an old guy. I'm an elderly guy. But I've had a lot of experience during this lifetime. And I will tell you, I tell my kids this, I tell my grandkids this, hopefully I'll get to tell my great-grandkids this, and I tell it to other people. Okay? Do not blindly listen to what other people say, because it doesn't matter. In every single field out there, there will be people that will sell their soul. They'll sell you out to get ahead. And like Leonard Cohen says in his song, the dice are loaded. The game is rigged. You will only go so far until you run into unethical people. I've seen it in the Marine Corps. I've seen it in politics. I've seen it in business. I've seen it on being on nonprofit boards. It happens over and over and over again. And it is so easy, so tempting to say, this is what, I gotta do this. If I want to get ahead, I got to do this. No, you don't have to do it. Because you gotta live with yourself. And you know what? If you don't want to live with yourself, you got to remember you have children and you have grandchildren. And they'll remember. And don't make them embarrassed to say that you were their father or grandfather or great-grandfather. When I was at Concord, I used to tell people, because everything in Concord's recorded, a lot of stuff is written down, and I used to say one of my biggest concerns, what was my guiding post, is, shoot, I don't want my great-great-grandkids one day come up to Concord and say, hey, let's look at those old records, general court records, to see what some of the speeches or some of the things great-grandfather Robert said, and they'd be embarrassed of me. Okay? But look at it. Now tell me, let's go with religion. Hey, let's pick on the Protestant side. Oh, we have a guy that's head of one going against gay bashing and all this other kind of stuff, collecting millions and millions of dollars a year. Oh, at the same time, he's involved with gay sex and drugs. Oh, we have another one down in Texas. Oh, wait a minute. Underage girls. And then begs, please God forgive me because I was weak. It wasn't my fault. The devil tempted me. I was weak. Oh, one that just died recently, Jimmy Swagler. Oh, Jimmy, you got caught with your Cadillac in that district of Il Repute in New Orleans. You were. Oh, I was ministering to the ladies of the night. Or another individual with the had a great TV show, making all kinds of money. Oops, he had some problems too. We have another one. Bingo. Oh, he had his father get him out of going to landing on the ground in Korea during the Korean War. Oh, the Catholic Church in the United States. Wait a minute. You've had these priests that were molesting children, but their supervisors knew. But their supervisors were afraid. Well, if I happen to squeal or punish these guys, I may not get promoted to Monsignor or Archbishop or Bishop. I want to become a cardinal. So I can't tell the truth because it'll risk me going forward. Hey, what about the churches up in Canada? Indigenous babies that were buried. The Catholic Church in Ireland. Still just recently uncovering more and more. But why? Because they were doing it to protect their butts. They were doing it because they figured they could get promoted, and they did not want to do what it was to protect the children. They go, well, it was weakness, the devil made me do it. No, they did it themselves. They made those decisions out of what they thought was going to be their own self-image. Interest. Okay? Look at the military officers. The military officers, did anybody resign, or when President Trump says, well, I'm going to send the Marines into Los Angeles. For what? What do you need Marines in Los Angeles for? So you have 4,000 National Guard. You need 2,000 Marines. You have the City of Los Angeles Police Department and LA County Police Department. LA County Police Department and the City of Los Angeles Police Department have more police officers than a lot of countries have militaries. I'm going, what? No one whatsoever is going in and standing up when they say, oh, wait a minute. So we have law-abiding migrants. We have law-abiding people are completing the green card applications, and so they get ready to show up with an appointment, official government appointment, and they're whisked away before they get their appointment. Okay, that's not a criminal, that's not a rapist or anything. So how do you get trust in government? Okay, or the federal government says, hey, state of New Hampshire, every state, I want all personal information on every single person in every single household in the state of New Hampshire that gets food stamps or SNAP benefits. And I want you to send it to us, the federal government, so we will be able to root out waste, fraud, and abuse. Or, you know what? Social Security, the way all this stuff is supposed to be, basically under protection, Social Security, IRS, and Health and Human Services, we want you to provide tax return information. We want health care information. We want Social Security information. We want all this information to put it in a big database so we can root out waste, fraud, and abuse. I don't see very many people quitting over that or standing up or protesting. What about the law firms? Well, President Trump says if I don't do this, he's going to make sure my law firm doesn't get any more government business. Okay, we'll cow down to the president and we'll even donate money to his library. Does that make a law firm ethical? If a law firm isn't that paying to play? You're going and saying, well, Mr. President, if we give you $15 million to your future presidential library, you will give my firm's lawyers security clearance so they can get government contracts. Yep. Okay. Redstone? Mrs. Redstone, if you get to sell, you want to sell your thing for $8 billion, right? You want the money. Yes, yes, yes. So, you know what? If you go and pay us $15 million because they cut a minute and a half or they edited 3 hours of tape down to 42 minutes and you didn't like it, if you donate $16 million to my presidential library and you give me $16 million of pro bono of public service announcements, we'll get your request, the sale And so you can get your $8 billion. Bingo. Hey, cut the deal. Lawsuit was settled. It was canceled. And a couple of days later, everything was approved. I don't see any integrity or ethics there. If anything, there is no integrity and very low ethics. You know, let's look at some of these individuals, okay? Boston Consulting Group has to pay $14.4 million to the Department of Justice because it was bribing business men in Angola to get contracts. Caroline Epstein, former CEO of Alameda Research, 2 years in prison and forfeit $11 billion for her role in the FTX cryptocurrency debacle. New Jersey Senator Bob Mendez, 16 counts of bribery, fraud, and extortion. And because he was providing information to Egyptian and Qatar governments. Carlos Watson, former cable news host and CEO and co-founder of Oxy Media, 37 years in prison for fraudulently inflating the value of his startup to investors, including touting facetious deals with Google and Oprah Winfrey. He's going to go away for 10 years. Martin Winterkorn, former CEO of Volkswagen. They programmed the cars, the little computer in there, so it had passed all the emission tests. Cost Volkswagen $33 billion in fines, penalties, and settlements. The Raytheon will pay $200 million to resolve 750 violations of the Arms Export Control Act and international tariffs, trafficking arms regulations. Just think, it's paying over $200 million for at least 750 violations of selling U.S. arms overseas. And it's going to pay $200 million. To them, that's the cost of doing business. I can guarantee you, or I can almost guarantee you that they made more profit on this than the $200 million they're going to be paying. That's RTX, that's the former Raytheon Technology Corporation. The other one, Raytheon subsidiary, will pay more than $950 million to resolve charge of defective pricing fraud and violation of the Foreign Corruption Practice Acts. Federal judge rejected a plea deal between Boeing and the Department of Defense to resolve extended legal in because Boeing was going to pay a $2.5 billion settlement because Boeing, the 737 MAX had two crashes that killed quite a few people. But you know what? They weren't American people, so it doesn't really matter to us. Well, they pay in 2018, 2019. They said, yeah, hey, no problem at all. We'll pay $2.5 billion. Done. It's over with. And then they said part of the other condition is we're going to fix all the problems. And then 2024, Alaskan Airlines flying the 737 MAX. And there it is out in the air, and the door just blew out and decompressed the cabin. And what happened was Boeing used to be a real good company, highly recognized. But then Boeing decided when they took off McDonnell Douglas, they said, hey, it's all about the money, not about our standards. When you go in and you look at Trevor Milton, founder of electrical and hydrogen-powered truck maker Nikola, to serve 4 years in prison for lying to investors. Technology. He was found guilty last year of having lied about claims he invented his company's batteries and the Oakley One semi-truck worked, which it did not. And it just kept going. The list, you remember the Panama Papers? 27 individuals and companies. Sam Bankman-Fried, he was a crypto tycoon. He was sentenced to 25 years in prison for fraud, conspiracy, and money laundering. It fell. It raised some $32 billion in value on the exchange. $32 billion. Okay? Just think if half of that was regular people, so he cost regular people, a bunch of people, their life savings. They had nothing to retire on, the whole work. He was ordered to forfeit some $11 billion to offset the losses suffered by customers, investors, and lenders. But you know what? He spent a lot of money donating to Democratic Party candidates and stuff, while people looked the other way. Texas Attorney General Ken Paxton, getting ready to run for senator, preachers, everything. He reached a deal with prosecutors to avoid trial for criminal security fraud connected to a 2011 incident when Paxton, then state representative, promoted the stock of a tech company called Synergy to investors without disclosing that he was being paid to do so. Paxton, who survived an impeachment trial last year, still faces an ongoing FBI corruption investigation. In the meantime, Paxton will pay $271,000 in restitution and 100 hours of community service and take legal classes. Not bad for the state attorney general right now. And when I was driving in, hey, Senator Paxton and Governor Abbott of Texas has asked Donald Trump to use the FBI to round up Democratic House representatives from Texas that are in Illinois, Massachusetts, California. The list goes on and on. And you know what? Not one single one of these, whether it's been in education, you know, the stuff that was happening on King State College when, wait a minute, how did they get in such big deficit? Why did they have to lay off all these people? Nothing of these and the other pages that I have was ever in a vacuum. People knew. They knew and they knew. But people made the decision, I don't want to pay the price. I don't want to have to pay the price to be ethical or to maintain my integrity. One of the big reasons is what's happening at the federal government, state and local. Hey, I have a $500,000 mortgage. I have car payments. I get to send my kids to college. I can't afford to lose my job. So I'm going to play, show my age, Sergeant Schultz in Hogan's Heroes. I know nothing. I know nothing. Or in the military, for example, we don't care when it happened or who's the cause. Whoever it's found out, watch it is responsible. If I took over today and something was wrong tonight, but for 20 years, it's my fault. Just like Camp Lejeune water. That Camp Lejeune water went from 1953 to 1987. Not one single base engineer officer, facilities officer, chief of staff, or commanding general stood up and says, this water is contaminating, this water is hurting Marines, this water is hurting workers' independence. No, none of them wanted to risk their career. So they were willing to look the other way and allow people to die of cancer, children to die. That is being unethical and totally lacking in integrity.